She stared straight ahead, lost in thought. The woman in 3C was a study in contrasts. Silk blouse tucked in, hair pulled back, lips pursed, eyes resolute. If you had to guess her destination, you might have picked somewhere important. A boardroom, a media interview, maybe even the Oval Office. But actually, she was headed to seat 3C on United Airlines Flight 2749 from Los Angeles to New York. And once you realized that, you'd start wondering why she was there. Because the woman in 3C was no ordinary traveler. She was the CEO of Forrester Technologies, a billion-dollar company. And she was about to show what happens when you ignore someone's importance. But the story of the woman in 3C didn't begin on that flight. It began years earlier when she decided to reinvent herself. She ditched her family name, scrunched her natural curls to avoid the social baggage of her frizzy mane, and shed all trace of her southern accent to erase the last vestige of where she grew up. In fact, if you saw her, you wouldn't have guessed that she was born and raised in Georgia, spent most of her life in Silicon Valley, and was married to the best thing that ever happened to her, a man named Richard. You probably wouldn't have guessed that she was brilliant, ambitious, a bit of a control freak, and fiercely loyal. And above all, you wouldn't have pegged her as the woman who built her company from scratch. You just wouldn't have guessed. And that's exactly what she wanted. All of that was part of her plan. Her company's success had earned her a place on the cover of Forbes, a spot on Fortune's most powerful women list, and a reputation as one of the best CEOs in the tech industry. She'd proved herself beyond doubt. Yet none of it seemed to matter to the world. They still didn't get her. They still underestimated her. And that's what today's story is about. It's about the woman in 3C and how she taught a flight crew a lesson they won't forget. Lesson 1. Dismissed. When you dismiss people based on their appearance, you risk missing out on something extraordinary. And that's exactly what happened on that flight. The flight attendant was so focused on impressing the important passengers that she missed the woman in 3C, who was about to become the most important person on that flight. When you dismiss someone, you don't just hurt their feelings, you also lose the opportunity to learn from them, and that's exactly what the flight attendant did. She missed the chance to learn from a brilliant CEO, but it's not too late to turn it around, and that's exactly what the woman in 3C did. She took advantage of the situation and showed the flight attendant who she really was. Lesson 2. Unsung. When you ignore someone's contributions, you rob them of the recognition they deserve. And that's exactly what happened to the woman in 3C. She worked tirelessly to build her company, but the world didn't appreciate it. They only noticed her when she made a mistake. But the story doesn't end there. She used her platform to inspire others and make a difference in the world. And that's exactly what the woman in 3C did. She may not have gotten the recognition she deserved, but she didn't let that stop her from making an impact. Lesson 3. Overlooked. When you overlook someone's capabilities, you might miss out on the brilliance that lies within. And that's exactly what happened on that flight. Nobody paid attention to the woman in 3C until it was too late. But that doesn't mean she didn't shine. She did, and she did it in a big way. She impressed everyone on the flight with her confidence and composure. But it's not enough to be impressive. You have to be recognized for it. And that's what the woman in 3C was after. She wanted to be seen, and that's what she did. Lesson 4. Underestimated. When you underestimate someone, you open yourself up to the possibility of being proven wrong. And that's exactly what happened on that flight. The flight attendant didn't take the time to get to know the woman in 3C. She just dismissed her. But that led to some pretty unfortunate consequences. And that's what happens when you underestimate someone. You might end up regretting it. But that's also where the opportunity lies. You can use it to learn and grow, which is exactly what the flight attendant could have done. Now, all 4 lessons are intertwined. She was dismissed, unsung, overlooked, and underestimated. But she didn't let it break her. Instead, she used it as fuel to succeed. The woman in 3C was a powerhouse. She was confident, capable, and ready to take on the world. She didn't need the approval of others to feel good about herself. She had a quiet strength that radiated from her. Even when nobody noticed her, she knew who she was and what she was capable of. She understood that true success wasn't about external validation, but about internal fulfillment. And that's a lesson we can all learn from her. Sometimes the most important people in the room are the ones who seem invisible. And the woman in 3C was the perfect example of that. She was the quietest person in the room, but also the most powerful. She didn't crave attention. She didn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. Her actions spoke for her, and those actions were nothing short of brilliant. Her ability to stay calm and focused in the face of adversity was remarkable, and that's a quality that everyone should strive for. In a world that often rewards the loudest and most attention-seeking individuals, she stood out for all the right reasons. She was intelligent, resourceful, and driven. She didn't let the opinions of others hold her back. She pushed forward with determination and grit. And that's the kind of attitude that can take you places you never imagined possible. The woman in 3C was a role model for everyone who feels like they don't fit in. She proved that you don't need to follow the crowd or conform to societal expectations to be successful. You just need to stay true to yourself. And that's a lesson we can all learn from her. But the story doesn't end there. Her journey serves as a reminder that success doesn't happen overnight. It takes dedication, hard work, and resilience. But the payoff is worth it. You get to live a life on your own terms. You get to make a real impact on the world. And you get to be true to yourself. The woman in 3C was a trailblazer. She paved the way for many other women in tech and showed them that they could do it too. She was a beacon of hope for anyone who dares to dream big and go after it. So the next time you're feeling down or like you're not being heard, remember the woman in 3C. Remember that you are powerful beyond measure and that your voice deserves to be heard. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to take risks. And don't be afraid to be yourself. After all, you never know who's watching and waiting to be inspired by your story. The woman in 3C was a true inspiration. She proved that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be misunderstood. And it's more than okay to be a trailblazer. She showed us all that the quietest person in the room can also be the most powerful. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.